welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for participating already, letting me know where you're from, what grades you teach. Super excited to have you on here. Now that you've gotten all fired up about going back into the classroom for the fall, I'm sure your students are equally excited. I've got a student myself, my daughter, a couple of rooms away right now, who honestly is stoked about going back to school because she has teachers, fortunately, that I'm sure are like you, the ones that really keep them engaged in the classrooms. And here you are participating in this voluntary professional development to get stoked about using your TCI curriculum. So just thank you for being here with me today and for sharing where you are from. Let's go ahead and dive right in now and talk just very quickly about the housekeeping, because you heard this in earlier sessions too. I am going to ask you, the chat's ready to go. As you can see, people have been chiming in. Use Q&A now if you have a question. And I've got partners in crime on the line that are experts in all things TCI that will be able to respond to those, or gather your email if need be to get an answer back to you. And then use chat if I'm asking you a direct question. We're also going to use Mentimeter in a moment. So have your phones handy if you would, if you want to use the Mentimeter code, the barcode from your phone camera, but there will be a code you can use online as well. I will ask, if you are sending something in chat, you very likely will have a comment or a question that other people would like to be able to view as well. So click on that little button and make sure you're sending your message out to everyone so we can all benefit from each other's greatness and see what you have to say. So let's start with a question for you. How well do you know TCI? Let me give you just a minute. You can go either to menti.com, as you see, and then enter that code 25466686, or grab your phone, open up your camera. I'm going to give you a minute to do that before I switch screens, but open up your camera and scan that barcode and go to that link. And in just a moment, you are going to have a question that you can respond to. So menti.com 25466686, or grab that barcode, and I would love to see what you have to say about how
Dawn,
well you. Yes, Brian.
Yeah,
yes.
your slides aren't showing.
My slides aren't showing.
No.
Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you for letting me know that.
Yep.
And that's probably, what about now, Brian?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Probably when I went from, I'm so glad you mentioned that. It must have been when I went from backstage to webinar. Let's try that again, friends. Sorry about that. So now, menti.com, the code 25466686, or even easier, grab your camera. As I said, I'm going to leave this up for a second now, since you weren't seeing it that whole time. I thought you were. Grab that barcode there, and you should see a question that you can respond to. Let me give you a second to be able to view that. Maybe 10 seconds. Counting in my head, but I'm counting fast. So hopefully you're opening that camera fast, and let's see how well you know TCI. Oh, okay. So give it a second, let people continue, and just keep your screen where you are, because I'm actually going to advance this in just a second and pose another question to you. So we're kind of middle of the road right now. So I'm guessing we have a lot of newbies on the line, which is super exciting for me, because if you're going to be first year or still relatively new to using this curriculum, then that really actually excites me, because I can show you all the things that I love about it, that hopefully you in the coming months, as you start to implement it, will love about it as well. Oh, we're hovering at about 2.3, 2.4. So yeah, and with a group this large, that really doesn't surprise me. And that's the whole, one of the main purposes of this summit, right? Is for those of you that are new to the curriculum, or maybe you're new to the elementary classroom, we want to make sure that you feel empowered for successful implementation. And this session is just one of the many ways that we are going to make sure that you are ready to do just that. So I'm going to actually click stay right where you are on your device, and I'm going to go ahead and advance this to a next screen. I want to know about how long you have been a teacher. So because some of you, maybe you started out teaching high school, and now you're finding yourself in a third grade classroom. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I've seen a lot of dots on new teacher, but look at that. Some of you with 31 plus years, hats off to you. And what I love about that is for the new teachers, the 31 plus years teachers, and every one of you in between, the fact that you are here right now with us tells me that you are a dedicated, awesome instructor, or you just simply wouldn't be here. You would be doing your thing over and over in robot mode, right? But you are here wanting to continue to grow professionally and meet the needs of your students. So, wow, we've got every single range represented there. That is super awesome. I'm going to give it a second to let it keep coming in. Looks like I think the 11 to 20 years, I'm not good at counting moving dots. Oh, no, the number's on there. So we are at 30. I knew it was close. So 30 people, 31 at 11 to 20 years, and 21 to 30. We've got 25 of you, so a close second. But yeah, kudos to the 7 now of you with 31 plus years of teaching experience. And best wishes to those of you that are new teachers. You're going to love it. There's no job I can think of that's more rewarding than being a classroom teacher. So welcome to all of you. So here's a quick glance at our Social Studies Alive elementary programs. Likely the program that you will be teaching, unless you're in a state specific program, is on the screen here. So nationally, here are the titles. So kindergarten for most all of you is going to be Me and My World, My School and Family, My Community for most of you, grade 2, but not necessarily, right? Our Community and Beyond, Regions of Our Country, and America's Past. So what's awesome is that the platform is consistent across all of these grade levels. So even if I'm demoing in Our Community and Beyond today, as I likely will be, it doesn't matter if you will be teaching from My School and Family or from America's Past, because everything I'm showing you is going to be something that you have and will be located in the same place as your program as well. So focus on what I'm showing you today. And then, as you know, you'll have access to the recording and you can go back and play along. And you can play along in your own access as you do the in-app professional development that Brian has created, that I'll also be sharing more with you about in just a little while. So a little bit about what we're going to be covering to maximize this little over an hour together is that basic navigation of TCI. We're going to hit the highlights. I'm going to show you some of the hidden gems that I think are valuable that just sometimes get overlooked or forgotten when you are within your TCI access as a teacher and as a student. We're going to talk about how to teach. Where do I go to plan a lesson? What are my options? What are things that I can edit and customize? How do I assign or assess or grade with TCI? How can I locate more information to do any and all of these things? And again, that's the awesome thing. We have lots of options for all of those things, much of which we will be talking about today. Again, if there's something you have a clarifying question about, don't hold back. Grab that Q&A button on your Zoom toolbar and let us know. And our promise is always, if we don't know the answer, we will get back to you with one. So make sure we are meeting your needs today. So TCI is about all of these things, and all of these things are super important, not just in the elementary classroom, obviously, K through 12 and beyond, I would argue, but we're talking about K-5 right now. So we know that we've got to keep those students engaged. If we want that retention beyond the assessment, which we all do, you're passionate educators or you wouldn't be here with us today, as I've already said. So how can we engage all of those different types of learners that we have in the classroom? And that's why we have these varying strategies and ways of conveying that content to them, so that it does stick, and so that hopefully they will quickly have the same passion for social studies education that you do as their teacher. And then we also know that time is limited in the elementary classroom, and that oftentimes you're not only killing 2 birds with 1 stone, if you will, you're killing 5 or 6, if you will. And that's why we have this perfect marriage of the social sciences or social studies and language arts. So that's why we offer you this seamless ELA integration. And what else I have been finding in recent years as I'm working with all of you from coast to coast is that we have a lot of hidden gems that assist with both of those things, honestly, that people just have forgotten are there or were unaware that are there. And that's one of my goals today, is to show you all of that. And then perhaps most importantly to use, whether you are a veteran TCI user or you're brand new to the TCI platform, is that it is easy to use. One of the things we pride ourselves on is to make sure that this is an easy to use platform, not only for your students, but for you as well. I oftentimes tell people, TCI will give you your evenings back or give you your weekend back because everything is concise, it's clear, it's all that you need. It's just enough. It's not too much and overbearing. And the lessons are just laid out in a way that you can walk in and easily execute them with your students in an enjoyable, engaging fashion. So we're going to take a deep dive into all of those things today. Now, here's a quick look at some of the components. Now, this says my school and family, but it doesn't matter. Again, if you are in a different grade level in your teaching experience, you would have the option of having access to all of these same components. Now, I realize that not all of you currently have access to these things. So I'm actually going to drop in the chat right now a couple of links for you. The first one that I just dropped is actually going to be a link to the journal pages. So let me talk a little bit about what's on the screen here. So social studies stories, that's some bonus reading material, but I want you to take a look at the student journal pages because that is something that we offer both in English and Spanish. It's in a print format. It's also digital. And what we've done is based on teacher and student feedback in this most recent version of the elementary curriculum is done away with that older style of your students having that hardcover reference text on one side of their desk and then maybe a worksheet or an interactive notebook on the opposite side of their desk. Because for those younger kiddos, as we all know, sometimes it's a challenge for them. How much of this do I read before I answer? How much on this other side of my desk? So the student journal in both formats offers a seamless way for them to follow that lesson cycle. Oh, I read this and now I do that. So I'm going to flip through a couple pages of that in a moment. And then we also offer the teacher guide in both a print and online version. And that print version is an option, but that is something that we do offer. But you always, through your digital access, will have the ability to print out the pages of the teacher guide information right from your teacher license. And then the activity cards, which is that second link I dropped in for you. If you've been a TCI expert for a long time, perhaps you remember us using the naming convention placards, those oversized laminated cardstock images. Well, the activity cards for elementary replace the placards, but the premise is the same, except that these are more engaging. If you are new to TCI, let me just blow your mind for a moment, because one of the most awesome things about the activity cards is, listen to what I'm about to tell you. You will not make any photocopies to teach using this curriculum. That's right, I said it. With the use of the activity cards, unless you choose to give your students a paper pencil test, am I getting some woo-woo? Put the links in again. I absolutely can put the links in again. You will not have to make any photocopies. Thank you for the woo-woo, Megan. I knew that you guys were going to be awesome. I could just tell from the participation right out of the gate. Links coming in again. And again, if you have a teacher license, you're going to have access to all of this. But for those of you that don't have that yet, maybe your district hasn't rostered you yet, I wanted you to be able to see that. Christine, thanks for saying that about the activity cards being fabulous and engaging. Yeah, the placards were great too, but that is exactly what the activities cards do. They take that engagement level of those visuals to another level. So, and then obviously the online platform, which most all of you will have for both the teachers and the students, that we're going to do a deep dive into as well. And everything that you see, you have access to in Spanish also. So yeah, so that's a little bit just about your components that you have. And this next screen is going to show you, for those of you that are not wanting to open up another tab, totally understandable. This is just flipping through that student journal. So remember what I said about it seamlessly following the lesson cycle. So notice, look, there's the reading. I read that, now I'm going to do this. I read this, now I do this, instead of how much over here and how much over there. Oh yeah, Crystal, you are more than welcome. Everybody on this call from TCI has walked in your shoes. We were all teachers. And so by all means, if something is clear as mud today or you need clarification, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Brian or somebody, if I can have you drop in info for them in the chat if they have a follow-up question, or put my email address in there. I don't care, because I'll know what I was talking about. No one else may know what I was talking about, but we definitely want you to be able to have a preview of what we're looking at here. Thanks, Brian. There's my email address. So feel free to grab that if you need clarification on anything that I show or personally share today. But the student journal, awesome. But reminder, that's both a print and an online version that you would have the ability to have access to. And it's fully interchangeable. So yes, you might have some students that are working print and others that are digital, or maybe for today's activity, you're going to have everybody complete their journal prompts online, but for the next lesson, everybody's going to be doing the print. There's no right or wrong, and that's just the awesome thing about it. And once again, that's about a result of teacher feedback. So I always say, you speak, we listen, and that's truly the case. So continue to send us your feedback about all things TCI so we can continue to meet your needs. Do our kiddos get the student journals? So that is dependent upon what your district has actually purchased for you. So you'll want to check in with your district, or drop in the Q&A, and we can look that information up for you. If you are new to this most recent version of the elementary curriculum, one of my personal favorite things, one of them, because there's so many awesome things about it now, would be the unit inquiry project. And let me say a big old shout out to my partners in crime on the line from Illinois, because I work closely with a lot of districts in Illinois, and your state was one that really led the charge to drive us toward creating these unit inquiry projects. We are going to take a look at this online in just a moment, but what I'm showing you right now on the screen is actually samples from that print student journal. So what I was in a moment ago, this is what the unit inquiry project looks like in the print version. So notice, and this is for every single unit, K through 5. K through 5, we're going to start with a visual. Maybe it's a photograph, a painting, a map, maybe it's a video clip, and we're going to gather visual evidence. And then we've got our developing the compelling questions section, where we're going to review the storyline together, look at the compelling question, talk about questions that we have as a class about those two things. Then we're ready to move on to collecting evidence. And what I love about this, again, interchangeable between print and online, is, okay, class, we just now have completed lesson 1, understanding the geography of the world. Let's either print or digitally go back to our unit inquiry project and take a look at our supporting question. So there was that image we looked at, right? So that photograph was in New Jersey. In which country, continent, and hemisphere is New Jersey located? Where is your community? And let's talk about what we learned. So every lesson in a unit is going to circle back to the unit inquiry project. So now we've completed lesson 1. Now we're doing lesson 2. We're going to come back to the unit inquiry project again. So again, they love or they have the ability to do this either print or online. Then we're ready for building additional content knowledge, print or digital. We're going to gather additional sources. I'm going to show you online in a moment where even if you have not purchased the Social Studies Stories booklet, you actually have access to that content that students can use to research and come up with information, source titles, additional evidence for building additional content knowledge. And then finally, constructing an argument. So write a sentence about answering, how to answer the compelling question, provide 2 pieces of evidence, and then they wrap it up with this optional taking informed action, which I'm going to show you an awesome toolkit that we've developed for you that is online for that as well. I see a couple of you raising your hand. If you would drop your questions in the Q&A so that we can make sure those get answered for you, since I can't take a look at that right now. We want to make sure that you get answers to the questions that you have. So the lesson structure, again, consistent across the board, K through 5. So it doesn't matter if you taught first grade last year and they've moved you to America's Past in grade 5 this next year. Everything's going to be familiar with you or for you. So we have a lesson overview page that we're going to look at in a moment live. And this lets you see all the most important information at a glance, starting with flexible lesson options, which you can see right here. So this way you can really customize your students' experience based on the needs that you know they have. So are you really needing to focus on the big picture reading, thought-provoking note taking? You don't have time to do the full dog and pony show classroom experience for this particular lesson? That's okay. You can go with this track. Or are you going to do the full on lesson and you can still pick and choose and make edits and customize it? Then you're going to open up that classroom activity. Do you have time to dive deeper where you're going to deepen the understanding with optional materials? You're going to see those optional materials under section 2 here. So are you going to look at the explore readings, additional literature resources, or do something with the primary sources that are embedded into your program? So are you seeing already here that we too have that elementary experience? We recognize that some of you, even within the same building in the same district, some of you would say to me, I have 10 minutes for social studies instruction, and then someone down the hall may have 50. I would love for you just to drop in chat for me right now, just for our own curiosity and just to see how it varies for all of us across the country. How many minutes per day do you have for social studies instruction? And I would also love to know if it's every day. I'm going to assume every day unless you say it's 20 minutes twice a week. So let's look at this. Yeah, it's all over the map, right? Wow. So I'm seeing everything from 2 days a week to 45 minutes, 90 minutes once a week. So yeah, that's the nature of the elementary classroom, especially when it comes to social studies, right? And that's why our promise to you is that we have created a flexible curriculum so that you are able to have this in a way that you truly can implement it regardless of any time constraints that you might have. All right, keep those coming. Yeah, I see Julie Miller saying it varies and it's shared with science. And that's something we see very often too. But not to worry. And, if you ever have any questions about how to implement this with any specific concerns, time constraints you have, I'm going to show you today some features that we have embedded within to help you with that planning. Yeah, Crystal, I feel you. So yeah, so you're going to see a lot of people if you scroll back through that chat that are in similar circumstances to all of you. So we truly are going to try to make sure and meet your needs. And like I said, we listen. I always say you ask, we listen, and that's how we continue to grow and change and adapt to meet the needs of your modern classroom, regardless of what the concerns and issues are. But we're most definitely aware of those time constraints in the elementary classroom, and that's why we have the lesson structure set up as it is. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go live because I've talked enough about being live now. And let me show you a little bit more about some of the things that I have mentioned so far, because as many of you have already shared, you might not have access to your own program yourself just yet. So I'm actually going to start here on the content page. And this is where you will typically see things when you very first sign on, right? So you're going to find, depending on what grade level program you are in, that you have a number of units. So I'm in Our Community and Beyond, which many, but not necessarily all of you, would be using at grade 3. It's most commonly used at grade 3 nationally, but if you're using it at another grade or sections of it at another grade, that is totally expected also. But this particular program has a geography unit, a history unit, an economics unit, and a civics unit. Now, let me draw your attention to what is on the on the purple left nav over here to my left. Notice that there's this little caret here. So you can, and your students also can always close that out if you're not wanting that to be a distractor on your screen. But I want to focus actually on what's on the left-hand side right now, because there's a lot of really important stuff there for you. Notice the organization of the purple left nav. This is all with you in mind. So starting with this program section, here's the basic stuff about the program. I've got my dashboard, content, which is where I am now, a support tab, which I'm going to do a deep dive into in a little while, my classes, so if I'm needing to customize some stuff or look at some stuff for my classes, assignments, and grades. Under that, I've got unit. Well, what have I already told you is something that we offer you at the unit level? The unit inquiry project. So notice, we like to say we believe in positive redundancy. So notice you can get to the unit project here, but does anyone else, tell me in chat, Do you see the unit project, the inquiry project anywhere else on your screen? And I was told this was the advanced class, so no pressure. Can anyone tell me in chat, is there anywhere else besides the purple left nav? Advanced class, thank you, 1,000 points to you. The points mean nothing, sorry, in case any of you watched Whose Line Is It Anyway? Thank you, I'll be here all day. So yeah, you can also access it right there. So you're gonna see that time and time again as I navigate online, that there are multiple places where you could access the same information, because we don't want you on a wild scavenger hunt, especially if you're new to the curriculum, like, where is that? How do I do that? Just like the students. So that positive redundancy is key. So program, then unit. And then below that, we have the lesson section. So we're going to deep dive into all this in a moment, but just talking about the organization of the left nav, this is where you're going to see things that are specific to the lesson itself. And then below that, we have a reference section, which we will take a look at some of the items there in a little bit also. But just look here. I want to see in chat, especially for those of you that are going to be new to this curriculum, under that reference section, what are you most excited about that you see in reference? Or what's something in reference that you did not know we offered you? Yeah, Megan, games, awesome. Oh, we all are loving games. Am I surrounded by a bunch of gamers? The video library, awesome. Yeah, primary sources. And again, almost all of these things are things that you can get to in other places, but we want things at your fingertips. Maps, my notes, the biography bank. Oh, if you had looked at our biography bank in the past, little known fact, we have taken that up a notch, because remember I said we're always continuing to improve based on teacher and student feedback. We've actually added videos to a lot of the biographies, and we're continuing to grow that embedded media. So make sure you check that out, because it's making those even more engaging. So yeah, lots of cool things under the reference section as well. Now, I actually want to go somewhere that might be odd to you, but I find that when I work with teachers across the country, this is something that they're like, oh, I forgot. I remember seeing that once, or oh, I didn't know that that was there. So if you don't have access to your own yet, you might want to make yourself a little note on your notepad, where I know you're taking notes right now. And I'm actually going to go back above the program box and click on settings. Yes, settings, because there are some things here that I would want to know if I were new to the program. So I'm not going to talk about everything here, but there are two things here that I do want to make sure you're aware of, because this also gives me an opportunity to quickly and easily show you some of the power that you have as a teacher and things that you can control within your license for your students. So the first thing I'm going to click on, and just a reminder, I clicked on settings, and now I'm going to click on student features. So let me just pause here for a moment, and in chat, take a look at this. Is there anything here under student features that you did not know we offered? And it's okay, because some of you are brand new, and some of you have been using it for a while and just doing your thing, or maybe you forgot. Nicole says all. That's okay. That's awesome. Kristen didn't know level text. Love that, because these are key features that we want to make sure you're aware of. Yeah, all right, great. So this was time well spent as far as I'm concerned. Multiple attempts, yes. So again, once you have your access, you want to make sure my first stop is going to be the settings and student features. Now, let me point out a couple of tips here for you so you can maximize this experience in your classroom and the customization that you have the ability to do. Notice that for some, but not all of these sections here, it says edit per individual student. So reading level and languages says that. Student support says that. Down below, these are things that you're going to customize, and it will be applicable to the entire class only. If you change this to on or off right here, you're changing it for the entire class. If you want to lock a certain student or 2 or 5 or 10 into a certain Lexile level, then you're going to edit by individual student. Are you wanting all students to have access to the text to audio read aloud, or only individual students? You're going to customize here. Now, make sure, and I always use this line when I'm training teachers, so I'm going to use it for you today. couple of things you need to do when you're navigating your resources that I just find helpful. One is when in doubt, hover. Because if you see something, you're like, what the heck is that? I don't even know what that symbol is. Well, it's a gift box. And if I hover on it, it tells me that's going to tell me what's new, right? So tip number one, when in doubt, hover. Tip number two, no matter where you are in your online access, start at the top of the screen, but also go to the bottom. Does anyone see anything at the bottom of the screen now that I've scrolled that might be pretty darn important if you're altering any of the settings on this page? Yeah, update. Because guess what? If you don't click that magic update button, all the fancy changes you made are all for naught. So when in doubt, hover, repeat after me. I know you all are. When in doubt, hover and start at the top of the screen, scroll to the bottom and click that update button. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I just wanted to show you, yes, you have the ability to change the Lexile level. Level B is about 25% lower, so you can really make this user-friendly for everyone. Now, notice under text to audio read aloud, you have two options, narration or text to speech. Hey, based on teacher feedback. So again, you ask, we listen. So you help turn those pebbles into rocks at TCI. So whenever you're in here, whether you're reviewing us now, and that's why you're joining us today, or you are a longtime user, if you come up with a great idea or you're using another program for your math class, like, oh, I love that. I wish TCI had that for social studies. Don't sit on that great concept. Let us know, because who knows, you may log in 6 months from now and the info alert bar at the top of the screen, because you started at the top before you scroll to the bottom, says you asked, we listened. You now have the option of narration as well as text to speech for all students.
Hey,
A couple of other,
Dawn,
yes,
can I just interject there real quick? Can
please
you?
do.
Yeah, Amy Fagel asked about that, because it was something that we did for early elementary, but now we have it for all K-5. Can you play a sample of that so that Amy can see that? Because third grade, our community and beyond is an example of that.
Yes, Amy, I will do that in just a moment when I get over here to the lesson, if that's okay. But
Yeah.
yes, as Brian said, we have that now for everyone, and I'll be happy to demo that for you. So yeah, that's another thing, like, and that's why it's important for you to keep an eye out for this little red dot on the gift box, because we very likely, Brian may remember, I don't off the top of my head, we very likely might have put a blurb up on that saying that that is now a feature for everyone. And maybe you've never clicked on that before. So watch for that too. But yeah, that is now a feature that you all have, because upper L teachers got jealous that only K2 had that for the longest time, and you asked and we listened. Another thing I love down here that teachers say students appreciate, notice that you can choose whether or not you want it to display online the page numbers in the print version of the journal that correlate to where they are online in the reading also. So lots of great things here under student features. Just make sure you click that video. Okay, I'm going to let my partners in crime check chat for those questions. Again, if you have a question, I would love for you to pop that in the Q&A section of your Zoom toolbar so that we can make sure that they are able to answer that and everyone see it. The last thing I want to click on here under settings. So again, so far we've been in settings and student features. Now we're in settings and student access. And what I want to talk about here are just a few things. Students can change classes. I worry more about that if you're with like upper, secondary students. And most, not all of you are probably having your students roster. You don't have to worry about that. If you are, you can change that to off. But I do think you're going to find value in what's under that. If you hand students a print copy of a hardcover book or reference text, nothing is stopping them from going home this weekend and reading it cover to cover, right? And if you tell me that your students are going to do that, tell me where you live. I'm moving there and I'm going back into the classroom and I'm teaching with you in the fall. But my point is, online, the content is the same as that experience. They can see everything, not an assessment until you formally push it out, but nothing is preventing them from seeing the reading or the lesson game or the activity or the unit project for 5 lessons down the line if you keep this on. So if you don't want them to see something ahead of time, if you're worried that they might have a curiosity, then you can always come into settings, student access, and you can toggle any of that to off. You just have to remember though, then that means you can't walk in tomorrow and say, tonight go home and read section 3 if you've locked them out and you haven't made that assignment. So just make sure you're aware of what your settings are. So below that also, I saw value as a classroom teacher in open book assessments. I think that, sometimes you want to do those, maybe not all the time. So you have the option here if you want them to be able to access content while they're taking an assessment online or not. And also, do you want them to see the results at the conclusion of the assessment or not? Are you teaching more than one class of social studies? I'd like for you to tell me in chat right now, how many classes of social studies do you teach? Going to see a lot of you that say one class, but we might have some of you that are, yep, there's some 3s, some 2s. Looking to see if anybody teaches 6. Wow, Elizabeth has 6 classes of elementary social studies. Hats off to you. I mean, that's awesome. Like, it's all awesome, right? Like, wow. Oh, someone teaching K-5, Crystal. That's incredible. Like, hats off to you. Hopefully you're using TCI for all of those grade levels for social studies so that this will be very easy for you. But just like everything else in the elementary classroom, look how different many of your experiences are from other folks around the country. So, you can personalize this based on the needs that are unique to your classroom, your experience in your district and your building. So all of that was under settings. There's some other stuff there you can check out, but those are the things that I want to focus on with you today. Now, let's go back over to content for a moment, because when we look at content, as I said, depending on what grade level, what program title you're in, you're going to see a certain number of units. This program has 4, and I can open up this unit by clicking Explore, or if I want to go right to that unit inquiry project, I can open it up here, or I could open it up over here. I'm going to open it up right here just to give you a little bit more of a teaser here on this. And I'm actually going to open up present slides, look at it in this view with you. So what I love about this is actually I lied. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm sorry. My little thing got mad at me there. I actually want to do it right here for what I want to show you right now. So on the unit inquiry project, this is the same one I was showing you in the print version a couple of minutes ago. So you saw this image already, but just to show you that it's identical online, right? These are those same questions. And then you've got step 2, developing the compelling question. When students type their responses to the journal prompts online, it automatically saves for them. And then you automatically have access to it under grades. And then you'll have the option for anything that they type responses in, whether it be the journal prompts, the unit inquiry prompts, giving them stamps and numerical scores and written feedback as well. Now, obviously, hopefully, students will not have show answer key. I'm logged in as a teacher right now, and that's why I have show answer key. But the one thing I wanted to show you down here that I gave you a teaser on early on when I was back in my slides is actually down here at the bottom. 2 things. One, I mentioned that step 6 of that unit inquiry project is the taking informed action, and that we have this taking action toolkit for you here. This is one of 2, maybe 3 places where you can access this. So here it is. You can also find it under support, and I'll show you where in a little while. But if I click on this, use the ideas and graphic organizers in the taking action toolkit to expand inquiry. If you're already not excited about using the taking action section of the unit inquiry project, hopefully this will be enough to push you over the edge. We want that taking action element to be something that is, because it should be, customized, personalized, like everything else we're doing for you based on your unique needs in your city, your township, your community, your state, your geographical region. So that's why that blurb about taking action is the same whether you are in kindergarten, 3rd grade, 5th grade, no matter what, because it's going to direct you to the taking action toolkit, and then you determine for your students where you are. Are you going to do option 1, service-based action, or option 2, product-based action? And notice this is a 27-page booklet that tells you about the benefits of taking informed action, suggestions for success, And then all of these Blackline masters to help you execute this with your students. So here's a template for a newspaper article, a social media campaign. So you can make this exactly what you want it to be in your classroom. And I'm always amazed how many teachers didn't know that this taking action toolkit was here. So hopefully you'll find something there that you can utilize. So that can be found here, and it's also under the support tab. And then also, not to give anyone motion sickness, but let me scroll back up again for a moment. Remember when I was back in the slides, I mentioned that for example, in step 4, where it asks you about building additional content knowledge, and it says that students can use their readings from social studies stories. And some of you are probably going, I don't have social studies stories. They didn't buy that for us. We didn't get that, in any capacity. You still have access to it. So watch this. Right below the unit inquiry project. Well, I'll be dipped. There they are, social studies stories. There are slides where you have questions, prompts that you can use to go along with them. And then the readings are below them. So every unit inquiry project, we give you certain number of social studies stories that can be used for additional research, additional content knowledge. And notice that the very same reading tools are here with the social studies stories that you'll find with the text over here that we'll get to momentarily. For example, reading level A or B, the text to audio reader. Let's just see which one is active right now.
Social studies stories. Finding new sources of energy.
So I believe
Fighting pollution is
actually,
one way.
since that someone asked about that, let me see if I can quickly switch over here and go ahead. Oh, I did have narration on. Let me show you the difference here in text to speech. I believe it will do that right here for me. I don't want a tour right now, but you might.
Introduction. Picture yourself as an astronaut in a spacecraft. If you
So
looked at
oral
the planet
narration
Earth from
versus
space,
text to
what do
speech.
you
So you
think
can
you
hear
would
the
see?
2 differences. And again, super awesome that we now have that for everyone. So again, in the unit inquiry projects, those social studies stories contents are all underneath them. So I just collapsed this here, and you can see for this particular unit 1 geography and our community and beyond, we have finding new sources of energy, learning about others through art, one immigrant story, and telling stories with maps. You may use these in conjunction with a unit inquiry project. You may use these to dive deeper into your standards. You may use these to further differentiate. You may not use them at all, but I just want to make sure you're aware that those are there and accessible to you. Let's go to the lesson level now, which notice I did by clicking right over here, but once again, there's multiple places that you can go to do that. And when you're planning a lesson, the first place you're going to start is, guess what? In the planning box. Now notice this is not visible to students, but if I expand this, let's talk a little bit about what is here for you. So starting with the overview, we have an essential question and then an overview which tells us in this particular lesson, the students are going to create a 3-dimensional model of the Earth and use that to answer some geography questions. I'm going to have objectives not just for social studies, but also for language arts. And if you don't know, we're correlated to standards for social studies and language arts for you, because we know, as I said earlier, we need to have that marriage for you between social sciences and language arts content. And fortunately, it's just a natural fit. So in this overview, it just gives you a quick blurb about what's going to happen in all parts of the lesson cycle. Here's what they're going to do in the preview. Here's what's going to happen if you do the extension. They're going to pretend that they're astronauts. They're going to see video and hear awesome sounds from space. And then if you do the hands-on activity, you're going to use a balloon and create a 3-dimensional model of Earth. And then to show what you know, that processing element, they're going to create a map of their state and locate their community, and then wrap up with an assessment. So that's just a quick, like, okay, let me wrap my mind around what happens in this lesson. That's literally the overview. Well, what materials do I need? Well, you can click on the materials list right here, but you can also click on the materials list right here. Now, let me show you the difference. Take a look here. So this shows me, oh, what I need, and then print. Oh, okay. So Dawn said we don't have to print anything. Well, guess what? Again, we're still going to give you the ability to print things should you ever need to. So if Brian left his journal at home today and you really need him, you want everybody to be using the print version of the journal pages today, you can always log in and you can still print out and make copies of everything that's here. your district did not purchase the print version of the teacher's guide, we're still going to give you the PDF access and ability to print out that if you want to take notes on it or whatever. So my promise was and still is, you don't have to make copies to teach any of these lessons, but we still give you the ability to print out and make copies of things. So this is what materials looks like here. If I come to materials over here in my purple left nav, it looks like this. So I like this because it's like, oh, how many of something per group? So my students are grouped, oh, glue sticks. If I'm teaching this exactly as written by the curriculum writers, I need one just per group. And then what's the source of those things? So that's what the difference is in the materials at the planning box versus the purple left nav. So, you just see what works best for you. Teacher prep. Well, does this lesson use activity cards and you need to cut something out before you teach the lesson? Or is it just something that, we're giving you a suggestion about how to connect to prior knowledge prior to teaching the lesson? Or, is it just more information about what's going to happen in all parts of the lesson cycle above and beyond what you saw in that overview, which is what you're seeing here. So that's kind of that teacher prep information. And then next to that, you'll see differentiating instruction. Access points for differentiation. So these are worksheets so that you can differentiate and answer key as at the end of those. And then for all of these types of learners, ESL, ELL, learners with special education needs, reading and writing below grade level, advanced or gifted learners, simple adaptations and suggestions for every single lesson at your fingertips so that you can meet the needs of everyone in your classroom. And then this next and final item is actually one of my favorites, and it's a hidden gem. Before I click on it, I'd love for you to tell me in chat, how many of you are already confident that you have ever used anything from enhancing learning? And if you can go so far as to say what it was, then 1,000 points to you. Who's ever used anything on enhancing learning before I even click on it? Just wondering, and you might say, I never even knew what enhancing learning was. Not seeing anyone yet. Okay, Tamara has used enhancing learning. I'm seeing some yeses, so that's awesome. For those that haven't, let's show them what they're missing. So if I click on enhancing learning, another great opportunity for me to remind you of the value of starting at the top and scrolling to the bottom, because if I just keep my screen right here, what are you seeing under enhancing learning? All enhancing learning is what? A list of what? Readings. So if you didn't start at the top and scroll to the bottom, you might think, oh, this is cool. It's some reading suggestions. But guess what? Below that, always scroll to the bottom. We also, I like to say, we've done the homework for you. How many of you did not know? Yeah, Megan's with a woo. Megan is my woo. Megan, can you join me on Monday for a presentation I have? Because I think that's the second woo from you, and I'm extremely thankful. Awesome. Send me an email offline, because I'm not even kidding. So here we've done the homework for you. And you might say, I already use pbslearningmedia.org, Dawn. Well, awesome sauce. 1,000 points to you. But did you know that they have this portion of their website that pairs perfectly with what you are covering in this particular lesson? So we've done the homework for you. And hey, if you've got a note, look at all these. Oh, vocabulary. One of you actually had mentioned this. I saw you in the chat, and I didn't know if that was a typo and you meant vocabulary, or if you already knew it was here. So yeah, rock star status there. But the point being, yes, we have these awesome reading opportunities. And yeah, maybe in your classroom or in your media center, you already have some of these books. Or maybe at the end of the year, your media specialist is going to say, I've got $200 left. Anybody have any books you want me to get into the building for you? You can go to enhancing learning and say, hey, can you get the ultimate book on planet Earth? But make sure you scroll down and see what else is there, because we have these resources for you for every single lesson. So that's the power of the planning box. Now below this, I showed you some of this in a visual in the slide deck, right? That you have these flexible video options. Are we covering the big ideas, or do we have time for the classroom activity slideshow? If you had used this in the past, don't panic. You're like, oh, it's red. That means it's bad. No, because the green is good. What we did was we took all of your feedback to improve upon this and make it even more user-friendly and complete for you and the students. So let me show you what that is. An editable slideshow to guide the classroom activity. So let me actually start with that, because Sometimes people say, I didn't know that I could edit that slideshow. And guess what, folks? We've taken that to another level too now. So what did I say earlier about when in doubt? Somebody tell me in the chat. When in doubt, what do we do? Thank you. You guys are awesome. I love elementary teachers. By the way, I'm certified K through 9. I know I'm weird. That also dates me because I don't even know that anybody offers that certification anymore. But you are my people and you're awesome, just like I knew you would be. But yes, when in doubt, hover. So when I hover on this play button, guess what? Present. I'm ready to teach this content, show these slides to my participant. Here, create an assignment. Where else can I create an assignment? Oh, over there. Edit preview. Make a copy. Print guide. Well, I want to show you edit preview very quickly. So by default, it's going to just, give it the name Classroom Activity Slideshow. I'm going to call it Summit and I'm going to click Submit. And now with the power of Spectrum Internet in 3 and 2 and 1 and 1. Jill loves the edit preview. Oh, Brian says I'm weird. He's my mentor. So if I'm weird, it's totally his fault. So you can take that up with him. How many of you are seeing this for the first time, even though you knew that you could edit some slideshows at TCI in the past? Do you see anything on this screen that excites you? Tell me what you see that you could not previously do in your teacher license that you now can do. Some of you are seeing it for the first, couldn't do it. And some of you seeing it for the first time. Some of you didn't know you could edit. Okay, so let me just say, we listen. People are always like, but I want to be able to add a slide. Guess what? Not only can you just add a slide, you can add a full-size slide, a 2-column slide, one with padding, 1 to 4. It is a super exciting feature. You can tell I'm kind of geeked out about it. So lots of new stuff there. So I'm just going to click on this. Actually, yeah. So do I want to change the background image? Do I want to add one? Do I want to, all of this stuff? So how did I get there? I don't know, Angelica. Too many questions. You're not allowed to ask me that question. I'm teasing. Oh, how I didn't get there was by accidentally clicking where I just did. So again, right back here, flexible video options. We're under Classroom Activity Slideshow. The third symbol over is edit/preview. I clicked on that. You can name it something different if you want. Click submit. And then with the power of your faster than mine internet connection, in 3 and 2 and 1, that brings you here. And I clicked on add slide, but that's not all you can do, right? You can edit. Look at all this cool stuff you can do. And on this one, you can see I've already actually, as a student, made my little sad face at my desk where the students are asked to draw their location of their desk in the classroom. And I'm sad because I'm so far away from my teacher. So yeah, hopefully you will take advantage of that. And as Brian says, you can embed video now too. We're just touching the tip of the iceberg on this right now. So this is just teasers. And if you want to know more, we're going to show you how to learn more here in just a few minutes. So that's just some of the teaser stuff for you with edit preview. Now, let's say you're ready to teach, and maybe for the first time you're teaching this lesson, you're not going to go crazy with edits. Like, I'm going to stick with the basics. I want to just teach it as is for the first time. And that's okay. It's okay if you never edit it because they're awesome already, right? So you have, just by clicking that play button, to present this awesome slideshow that walks you and your students through all of the content of the lesson. So I am logged in as a teacher. If a student would not see this little orange box, right? If it's orange, that's pretty much your clue that you see it and a student wouldn't. But if you click on that, I've got some lesson support. Oh, let them finish drawing before you move on. Teacher tips, those things are valuable. But what's awesome about this, if you don't already know, is, okay, astronauts need to know how to find places. Geography means the study of the earth. Read, what do you think it's going to do? What do you think it's going to do if I click on that green read button? Come on, advanced class. What do you think is going to happen if I click on the read button? It's going to read it to you. No, Megan. And now Megan's disappointed. Well, it will, depending on what you click on next. Yeah, Nicole, it's going to take you to the text. Boom. Right there, right where you need to be. And This is so powerful and important for the younger kiddos that you guys are all teaching, because they don't need 55 tabs open on their device, right? Then it's like mass chaos. It is for me as an adult too, and I probably have adult ADHD. I'm probably confirming that to you today. But look, I'm right here in the reading. I've got all my tools, and when I'm finished, I just click out of that X and I'm exactly back where I needed to be, whether I'm the teacher or I'm the student in these slides. So super user friendly. And if you're using this for the first time, then notice, everything's right here for you. The vocabulary prompts, drag and drops for vocabulary. If it's time for the students to listen to something, the audio, the video is embedded right in. Let's check this out just to show how engaging it is for those of you that are new.
Space shuttle flight controllers, give me a go, no go for launch.
Ready to blast.
Booster, go. Retro,
Go.
guidance, go. Control,
Go.
Space shuttle, you are cleared for liftoff in T minus 15 seconds. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Ignition sequence start. 4, 3, 2, 1. NASA, we have liftoff.
And notice that you can go full screen. So when in doubt, hover, right? Because if you didn't hover, you don't see that. But if you hover even on that visual, you'll see that you can pop that out full screen as well. There's a quick link directly to the activity cutouts, the activity cards, so you have those digitally accessible to you as well. But my point being, whether it's audio or video.
Come in, space shuttle. Come in, space shuttle. Can you hear us?
Everything is embedded right into the lesson slide deck for you, whether it's time to read or it's time to listen or it's time to do vocabulary. So super awesome, super cool. I did see some of your comments about like students being distracted on their individual devices. You get to choose when and if they are on their individual devices. Nothing's saying you can't project this and go through all parts of the lesson cycle together in a whole class activity. And if you're going to do that, maybe that's a justification for you to click on edit preview and change some of those prompts so that it makes more sense, the verbiage that you're using, that you are doing it in a whole class fashion instead of individually. So that's the great thing about this. You customize it and make it your own. Below that, we talked about the dive deeper, where you've got some additional content. Maybe it's going to be primary sources, and then you're ready to assess them. And you've got options. Are they going to create a simple map in their journal online or in print, to show what they know and showcase their content mastery? Are you ready for them to play the lesson game and then finally take a TCI assignment? Some of you acted like you were seeing the games for the first time. So let me give you a little teaser here. This particular lesson has 2 games. A lot of you that are longtime users probably knew that you've got cosmic squares and, matrix of knowledge and crack the code and primary source investigator. But I'm finding this summer that some people don't know we've added more games, like this cute one. Who doesn't? Is this a little llama friend? Is it a sheep? I think I'm going to say it's a llama because I think they're super cute. So if you've not seen these games yet, let me just give you a little teaser here. Because the kiddos love these. So I've already played this morning because I love it so much. So I'm going to restart. But if you're seeing this for the first time, look at how cute this is, and don't make fun of me if I don't play well. This music is adorable. So I'm driving my little car, and I'm going to try to pick up as many of these things on the road as I can. And as I do, I'm going to actually speed up. So the study of Earth, its spaces, land, water, air, and people. What is that? Oh, I think it's geography. So I earned a point, and now I got a speed boost as a result. So they go through these little vocabulary games, and that's in addition to the vocabulary cards and the drag and drop tools for vocabulary that they have embedded into the rest of it. Yeah, they love games. Awesome. So I do see that there are some questions about assessments. So beyond the games, let me actually click on assessments here because you might not know everything that you have access to here as well. For every lesson, when you click on assessments, you're going to see these 4 boxes. The first says question bank. So this is 18 questions, but there are actually more. So if you create an assessment, you can pull from our question bank these 18 questions, but you can also pull, in addition to those, questions that they saw on the lesson game and questions that they responded to from the journal online. So you actually can access more than that. We give you 2 stock assessments, either of which can be used as a paper pencil or an online assessment. So one English, one Spanish translation, those live here. If you are instructed to do common assessments or you just want to help each other and you say, Deborah, I'm going to create all of the assessments for our district for Unit 1. If you'll do Unit 2, then you publish them here and everyone in the district can benefit from your greatness and use them as is, or make a copy and make further edits to them to personalize them. And then also when you're in your Access this fall, you'll have the ability to tap into tests that other people nationally have created, and you'll be able to see what state they're from. So if you have a curiosity and want to say, oh, maybe there's something there I can use, or you want to share yours there, you can do so. And creating an assessment is as simple as clicking on Create New Test. You can name it whatever you want. I'm just going to name this one Summit. Click on Submit, and then show you how intuitive this is. So I can insert all questions, ones that other people in my district have written. I can write a question. Let's say I want to start with questions from TCI's question bank. You can create a test or quiz from multiple lessons. You can filter by response type. As I told you, you can add from the notebook or the lesson game. You can filter by DOK level. Let's say for purposes of this demonstration, I've looked at all of these. I like those. I'm going to add all of these to the test. So I clicked on that button to select all, right? I'm going to click on Add to Test and then click OK. And then with the power of Spectrum Internet, in 3, count with me, and 2, and 1. That wasn't terrible, actually. That brings me to this view where I can drag and drop to reorder questions, or I can click on a question and see that it's in English or Spanish. I can change the verbiage. If there is an image, I can change the size of it. If there's not one, I can add one. I can change the point value. If it is a multiple choice question, which I didn't happen to click on just then, but if it's a multiple choice question, you can add to the distractors. You can limit the number of distractors. You can have more than one correct answer. So, for example, which of these is completely in the Southern Hemisphere? If you need to customize an assessment, you can have multiple assessments for a lesson. Want to make sure you know that. So maybe for this lesson, I've created 3 assessments, one for my Gen Ed population, one for 2 students on an IEP because they struggle with reading, and a third for a gifted student. Then when I go to assignments, if I click over here on assignments and click on Create New, and we're in Unit 1, Geography, if I created those 3 assessments here, I can choose which students in which classes get which assessment. So make sure you are aware that you do, so you can do this by doing Brian's awesome in-app PD, which we're about to talk about in a moment, on assessing, where you see that you can fully customize all of this for all of the different students in your classes. So notice you can customize the due date, you can have assignment names and customized directions just for the students you pushed it out to in that moment. Awesome. So I want to take the last few minutes actually and talk a little bit about something that I mentioned a few times. Actually, I lied. My little Zoom tools are in my way. Go away, Zoom tools. Go away, Zoom tools. Rather than go to Minimeter, I actually just want you to tell me in chat right now which of the things you've seen so far you're excited about, or even something that I mentioned that you're excited about that I haven't shown you yet. You don't even have to go to Minimeter right now because I feel like I've mentioned more things than I even had on my slide as an option for you. Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to be editing slides, which I don't even think I had as an option. The new voice to read aloud. Well, guess what? Both of those things are things that those of you in the trenches, if you will, have asked for. So just a reminder that, we truly value what you need for the best classroom experience for your students. So keep those ideas and suggestions coming so we can continue to improve and adapt to meet the needs of your modern classroom. The gains, yeah, lots of you for the editing, the differentiation, awesome. So thank you for sharing that. And as I said, if there's things that you want to see us do in the future, we want to hear from you because we want to support you every step of the way. And this is kind of what I want to end on. We have our newsletter that you can sign up for if you haven't already, the in-app professional development, which we're about to talk about. And if you're not already part of our Facebook group, it's a great place for you to connect with peers that are in the classroom using our curriculum. Many of us check that daily and will also chime in and respond, but it's awesome because there might be somebody also from your state that has a similar question or concern. And it's just another way to have that national, kind of cooperative group of learners bouncing ideas off of one another and problem solving for one another. But I want to end with something that I'm super excited about, and I can't tell you how fortunate we are here. And well, I see I've got a direct message from someone. Don't hang up anyone because I know who won the iPad. And let me just give you a teaser. The person who won the iPad is in this session. So now I've got you for as long as I want you. I feel empowered now. So I'm super pumped about that. All right, awesome. So on with the show, I want to tell you about our in-app professional development. And Brian, who chimed in to let me know at the beginning that my slides weren't showing for a moment, is actually the creative genius, my mentor, who has created this for you. And I think that you are going to see his creativity and also his teacher voice as you experience this right now and within your own license. So what is it? It is personalized, hands-on experience at your own pace. What we've walked through today is hopefully a teaser to show you some things maybe you were unaware of, to actually also dive in a little deeper to things that maybe you've forgotten about. But we now have, thanks to Brian, these courses that you can obtain professional development hours for, certificates for, that will walk you through a number of topics, that are relevant to your TCI experience. So we've got 100, 200, and 300 level series, with the first 300 level just being released this week. And to take a look at this, let's actually go live again. And I want you all to see this before I announce the iPad winner. So if you are back logged into your license, at the very top of the screen, notice that it says new next to professional development. By the way, I did not dive into the support tab, but let me just give you a quick teaser. There are so many awesome things here. Make yourself a note, please, or send me an email if you want to know my favorite things under support, like, for example, the toolkits for reading and ELD support. Lots of awesome things here. And at the very bottom, those big picture planning sample pacing calendars as well. Those are under support, under program. But we want to talk for the last few minutes about professional development. So notice here, if I expand the planning, we have a welcome tab, an overview, F&Q, and tips for group sessions. I want to start by letting Brian speak for himself here through this video clip that you all have access to once you're in your license, for 1 minute and 33 seconds to tell you exactly what this is, and then I'm going to dive into it a little bit further. So here is my friend Brian.
Hi, and welcome to TCI's in-app professional development. My name's Brian. I'm a former classroom teacher, and I'm a professional development manager here at TCI. In our in-app professional development, you're going to be able to take courses on getting started with TCI, managing your students, learning management systems, and more. And within each one of the courses, we break it down into interactive challenges where you're going to focus on completing 3 different things with each challenge. First, you'll watch a screencast where features are modeled for you. Second, you'll click a link that will take you inside your program where you're going to be able to explore and practice. Third, you'll answer questions to test your knowledge, and you're going to get 2 attempts at items, and the questions will be automatically scored, whether it's drag and drop or even multiple choice. When you're all done with the course, you'll earn a certificate and badge, which you could even add to social media or your email signature. These challenges and courses will be fun and interactive. You'll even be able to pause, walk away, and come back because your work's going to save, so you can come back later, retake it, and review your work. So now it's time to go ahead and get started by taking your course and earning your first badge and certificate as TCI helps to bring learning alive in your class.
So that's the introduction. And again, I am in a license exactly like you all will be in. So you'll have this exact same planning box with that same video overview. And then I'm going to scroll down a little bit and show you what you have access to currently. Starting with the 100 series. It says start here if you are new, learn the fundamentals, but I'm going to argue it's not just for if you're new, because some of you on here today have likely been using TCI for years and years, but maybe you don't know what is brand new this year. So I would argue that all of you should participate in the Getting Started with TCI 100 series course. Notice under the 100 series, there is also how to create assignments, manage student access, and grade student work via the Assigning and Grading in TCI 100 series course. And then below that, we have the 200 series. And many of you, if not all of you, are using a learning management system. Drop in chat for me right now, if you would. If you do, if you are using Google, Canvas, or Schoology, or maybe something else, because it seems like it's varying from year to year what the majority of people are using in their classrooms, but it's going to be a lot of you that are using an LMS, and we're aware of that, and that's why Brian has created the 200 series, where if you are using Google, you can do a deep dive into a course specific to Google Classroom. Canvas, you want to know how to link TCI with Canvas, share, have assignments and grades sync, you can go into this one. And Schoology, same thing, how to link it up, how to share, have everything sync up. You've got one for Schoology as well. And then finally, the 300 series, as I said, he is continuing to create these. And Brian, please feel free to chime in since you're the resident expert on another level here. He is building out additional courses, and this one just dropped this week, like literally hot off the presses, on building a cooperative classroom. If you join Brian for his cooperative classroom session after the keynote with Adam Welcome, you see already the benefit of the various tools and tips that he shared in that session. So think along those lines, how to build a cooperative classroom with ideas for the start and throughout your school year. Notice we have timestamp estimates below each of these also, and then there's an action button. But before I dive into one of these, I would just like to pause for a moment. Let me see if I can get everything on the screen a little bit. I would love to see in chat which one of the courses on the screen you personally are most excited to check out. I see Megan going all caps with Canvas. Yeah, I cannot tell you how beneficial, even for myself as a TCI full-time employee, walking through these personally has been for me, which you're going to see in a moment how valuable they are and how engaging they are. And the fact that it saves your work as you go, you're going to love them. Everyone, the thousands of educators around the country who have already taken these are giving them rave reviews. Yeah, Google 300. I'm glad to see some of you thrilled about the brand new one, because he has worked, as you can imagine, extremely hard for months and months and months to bring these to you. So let's take a dive into one of these. Now you can notice, see here that this one is in progress. So I'm going to go ahead. I could restart this one. So even if you completed it or want to redo it, you can restart. I'm just going to go back into this course. And I'm on slide 1, and this is the flow that each of them will have. So what am I in? I'm in Getting Started with TCI. What am I going to learn? How to navigate, how to plan a unit, how to teach a lesson using all the various tools I have, how to use formative and summative assessment tools. What's the pacing? Well, depending on your level of expertise and, are you a skimmer or are you doing everything, boom, 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 maybe 90 minutes, maybe 120 minutes, and then you'll become TCI certified. And now I'm going to click Get Started. So that brings me to this view where Brian has that intro video and then a welcome. So he already told us we're going to watch videos, but then most importantly, after we watch his video clip for each section, we're going to explore our own account. So you have at the very correct point of what you're learning about, you're now in your account doing something with and then answering questions about, so that it really makes sense as you go through. Your answers do auto save throughout the course, so you can exit and return at any time. So now we're ready for slide 3. You can jump to any challenge. If today you really want to just look at diving deeper in libraries, you can do that. If you want to look at assessments, you can jump to that. Maybe you want to go straight to lesson planning. You can do that, or you can go in order as they are. So notice I skipped to lesson 2, our challenge 2, lesson planning, and it says this challenge will take 10 to 15 minutes, but I can take a break if I need to. It's autosave. So here I've got another video clip from Brian. Let's click and see what he has to say here.
The next challenge is all about lesson planning, and that includes your lesson overview page and the planning area at the very top so that you can get the most out of these TCI lessons.
All right, so he's given us our teaser of what this is going to be about, and now we're ready for challenge 2.1. We're going to watch this video, and this video is Brian speaking and walking through everything about lesson planning. Let me play just a couple of seconds of it so you can see what I mean.
Now that we're done with the unit inquiry project as an opener, we're going to focus in on the lessons. Down here at the very bottom of our unit overview page, you'll see your lessons. Just click on the green button to explore one.
So I won't play all of that, but you can see, just like the students that are digital natives, like we're in the world of TikTok now, right? So this isn't a 90 to 120 minutes, just of Brian talking like I've been talking to you all for an hour and 20 minutes today, right? It's chunked out. So this video of him walking through just this particular topic, challenge 2.1, is only 3 minutes long. So you're going to watch him do it, and then you're going to click on explore account, and boom, where am I? Exactly where he is. And now I can explore and do exactly what he had done. And then after I have walked through my own license, I can answer the questions. So in which section of planning in the lesson overview tab can you find the lesson objectives? Well, I'm going to say I think they're in the overview. I'm going to click. I got it right on the first attempt, so I get 1 point. Just like in the students' lesson games, if you get it correct on the second attempt, you get a half a point, but you're all rock stars. You're going to get it right. Only English versions of handouts and answer keys are provided in the materials. Is that true or is that false? I'm going to say it's false. I feel like a rock star. I got 2 points. And so I now have completed that challenge. Well, let's say, I've gone all the way to the end and I think I've answered everything. It's also going to tell you if you have any unanswered questions. So I've reached the end, but if I want that certificate and badge, if that's important to me, or I'm submitting this for professional development credit, I need to go back and answer the questions that are unanswered. So as I've shown you, this walks you through all of these various topics, and you can bounce around and go to what you want to. So you can start with challenge 1 and go straight through, or you can come in and go to challenge 5 and 3 weeks from now go to challenge 2. It doesn't matter. You can choose what you want to do. And it follows that same process, whether you're in getting started or you're in integrating with Canvas or you're in his newest one, building a cooperative classroom. And since we do have the privilege of having Brian on the line with us in this session, Brian, is there anything else that you would like to share about these that I have not shared, or any teasers for what's to come that you want to tell the group? And then I think we should announce an iPad winner, because these guys have been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have more courses coming soon. I'll be starting work on creating a course on gamification very soon, and we'll release that in early fall. And then, of course, we're always looking and listening for other ideas. So feel free to always share with us, what you'd like to learn more about. In fact, that's one of the questions at the very end of each of the courses is, what do you want to know more about? Definitely share that with us. And just a tip of the hat to our software team and our production team. They are the true magicians behind all this, because they made it happen. The fact that it's all in-app and you don't have to go to another source or an outside website, and that the same tool that you use with your students is the same one that you're using is amazing.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian, for sharing that. And again, a huge shout out to Brian for the countless hours, days, and probably sleepless nights he has spent to create these for all of us. I know you are all going to love them. So thank you again for that. Before I tell our winner, a couple of final thoughts here. Just a reminder that if you would like the opportunity, as I'm sure you would, to win the $50 Amazon gift card, you can do that by sharing one thing you learned from your favorite session or just one thing you liked about the summit to hashtag TCI Summit 23. And on Twitter, we are, and I guess it's an X now, right? Has anybody updated their Twitter app for the X? At Teach TCI, or on Facebook, join us at Teach TCI. And then finally, before we announce the winner of the iPad right here, to get the goodie bag, your tumbler and all the cool things that we promised you, and I believe, Brian, if you or one of my partners in crime can drop the link in, but I also have added the code here. So grab your cameras again. You can get to the evaluation form for this session right here by grabbing that image on the screen at the top right, so that you can fill out your personal information and we can make sure you receive everything that you need to receive. Now, would anyone care to know who won the iPad? You know what? If memory serves me, I think I may have had the winner in my session last year. So, all of you have to join me again next year if you want to be a winner. That's all I'm saying. In 3 and 2 and 1, without further wait, as we are less than 1 minute from the end of this session, a huge shout out and congratulations and thank you for joining us and being our winner. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Crystal Blomquist. Crystal Blomquist, are you still in the session? If so, can you give us a shout in chat? Yes, she's here. She says, no way, Crystal. Congratulations, you won the iPad. Would you remind us where you're from and what grade you teach? And just to thank you again for joining us today. That's super awesome that the winner was in this session. And just thank you, all of you, for joining me, for being a part of our virtual summit, for doing what you do every day. As a former teacher myself, once a teacher, always a teacher. As a teacher myself, as a parent of a student, I applaud each of you for your passion for education, your passion for continuing to grow as an educator, your passion for social studies instruction. And it has been my pleasure to share some of the things that I had to share with you today that hopefully will get you excited about continuing to implement or implementing for the first time your Social Studies Alive program. So let us hear from you. We are always a phone call, email, or text away. We want to continue to meet your needs. So thank you again so much for joining us. Brian also just shared the evaluation link, and we truly look forward to continuing to work with all of you and hope you'll join us for Summit again in the future. Enjoy the rest of your summer, those of you that have any summer left, and just thank you so much. Take care.